Hello, Maverick fans. Welcome to another edition of the Mavpuckcast. I am Jon. I am once again joined by Bridget, who is filling in for Jason. Had an exciting final regular season series of hockey there, Bridge.
We did. We've got some history to talk about and lots of fun things that happened this weekend at Baxter Arena. I can't wait to dive in with you.
But before we get to any of that, we've got to talk about our official merchandise sponsor on the Mavpuckcast this season, Lawler's Custom Sportswear. It's weird. No more home games for the season, so I'm not going to be talking about stopping by the Lawler's booth anymore until this coming fall. It's just a weird thing, but besides UNO hockey, there are plenty of other UNO sports coming up. You've got baseball, softball this spring, and let's face it, you and I just wear UNO gear, UNO hockey gear year round. So it's always a good time to get new Maverick merchandise at Lawler's Custom Sportswear.
It sure is. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Pat has in store for us in these upcoming months as we already start to look forward to next season.
That's exactly right. So Bridge, initial thoughts coming into this series against North Dakota, a big series. We never swept North Dakota in a series in our entire history of playing that program. We first played them when we joined the WCHA back in the 2010-2011 season. But throughout the WCHA history and the NCHC history, we had never gotten a sweep of North Dakota.
You were spot on. You picked an Omaha sweep, and you were absolutely right.
Well, as the old adage goes, Bridge, a broken clock is right twice a day. Look, UNO was 7-1-2 coming into this series against North Dakota. They had really turned things around after that kind of devastating sweep at the hands of Denver back in January. And UNO really started the turnaround after that Denver series when they went up to St. Cloud for a series and had a really good result. I also said on last week's episode, I said, don't worry about the intricacies of the pairwise. If UNO finds a way to sweep North Dakota, good things will happen in that regard. And they did. The only thing I guess you could say I was wrong on was the fact I thought if UNO swept, I really thought that they were going to find a way into home ice. They didn't quite get there, but 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
We needed some help from Denver to make home ice possible, but Colorado College managed to squeak out that Friday night victory. The Mavs did everything that they needed to do, that you said that they could do, but it just wasn't enough to get home ice. So I think we said next year's motto is going to be every point matters.
But before we get to who UNO is playing this upcoming weekend, we've got to talk about that Friday night game against North Dakota, which started off our final regular season series of the season at Baxter Arena. Exciting series as always with North Dakota. We have an interesting history with them. You look at the end of last season when we played them to finish the season up in Grand Forks, and then we hosted them the next weekend for a playoff series here. And oh man, that playoff series against North Dakota was just kind of tragic last season. I know fans had a very, very long hangover after that. So emotions were high among fandom, among the players going into this series. But looking at that first period on Friday night, 9:05 into the first, Gavin fires in a beautiful shot from the blue line, assist to Randall and Griffin Ludke, 1-0 UNO.
Yeah, great way to get the scoring started. Very important, of course, for the Mavs to get that first goal.
Absolutely right, Bridge. UNO held that lead a little over 3 minutes there, but 12:29 in the first. Former Mav Cam Berg ties the game up for North Dakota on the power play. We were wondering, is this going to be the first of many highlights for Cam Berg?
Yeah, I was busy doing other stuff, tweeting and throwing streamers and other things. So I didn't see the aftermath, but I heard a lot of fans talking about Berg's reaction after that goal. I think there was some outcry to the fact that he was the one that gave North Dakota the equalizer after Nolan Krenzen was called for that trip.
So the game was tied 1-1 at the end of the first period. A good position for UNO to be in. I was really interested to see how this game was going to be one of those back and forth barn burners that featured a lot of goals like we've seen on occasion this season, or how was it going to go? But a little over midway through the second period, Tanner Ludke pops the puck in after he picks up the rebound from a UND player's skate. 2-1 Mavs. Great to have the lead there in the middle of the second bridge.
Yeah, two crucial things happened there. The first one was there was a 5-on-3 North Dakota had after Proctor and Lansell went into the box on separate penalties. And so to be able to kill that off was a huge momentum boost for Omaha. And then, like you said, Tanner Ludke made the most of the play. He had been out on the ice for a very long time. And in fact, I had just remarked to you, wow, he's got to be out of gas because he's been out there for a long shift. And then what do you know? He puts it in the net. And Joe LeMay and Nolan Crenson got assists on his 10th goal of the season. But boy, he's quite the freshman sensation for the Mavs. What a great acquisition for Omaha this season.
Yeah, he's been a real spark plug for UNO offensively. We needed that this season. It's been nice to see him mesh in well with the lineup this season. And then 11:27 into the second period, defenseman Victor Mancini puts UNO up 3-1. Great time for Mancini to get the goal. Great awareness by Nolan Sullivan setting up Mancini's goal.
Yeah, and so quick after Tanner's goal, it's just a minute, 16 seconds later, we had hardly thrown the streamers and sat back down in our seats, and it was time to get up and cheer again.
So a great position for UNO to be in there, a little over midway through that second period. 12:49 into the period, UND's Logan Britt narrows UNO's lead to 3-2. It was kind of one of those fluky goals down low. He shot it from behind the net at Simon Lacozzi's skate, which was blocking against the post, and it just found a way to kind of trickle into the net.
You're right. A fluky goal. All of us kind of turned and looked at each other. I think the players on the ice were turning and looking at each other. A lot of confusion with that one, but the puck was definitely in the net. And with it being 3-2, a little more than halfway through that second period, that could have been a goal that changed the momentum in North Dakota's direction. But fortunately, it didn't.
Yeah, UNO up 3-2 after the second period. As far as I was concerned, it was too close for comfort going into the third. Boy, it was a back and forth game. Erdahl nearly got a breakaway goal in the latter stages of that third period. What did you think of UNO's effort in that third period, Bridge?
Well, they definitely came up strong defensively. One thing that I noticed quite a bit were the number of block shots by the UNO players really throughout that whole Friday night contest. But there were 4 block shots in the third. And I really think that helped, Omaha keep that 1-goal lead. Omaha, like you mentioned, did have some chances to increase the lead, especially with Brad Berry pulling Pearson with a little over 2 minutes to go in regulation. And in fact, Ty Mueller hit a pipe with about 30 seconds to go.
We were hoping that they would get that empty net goal. They didn't get it. They held on to win 3-2, a great gutty effort by UNO. And honestly, as far as I was concerned, and I know some other fans that I was talking with after that Friday game and before the Saturday game were like, you know what, it's all gravy from here. You go into a series like this against a solid North Dakota team thinking, if we can get a split, it'll be good. And especially considering our history, since we had not swept North Dakota, but a number of the fans were hoping for more going into that Saturday night game. We knew it was going to be an electric night. UNO had announced on Twitter during the day that it was going to be their biggest crowd of the season, which means you got to get to UNO really early to get one of those parking spots near the entrance of Baxter Arena if you don't want to have to park across the street at Exarban Village in one of the garages. So we definitely got there early with our Blue Line Club membership. We got there at 5:30. We watched the players warm up a little bit, which is always kind of fun to do. We had our niece Scotland with us. She loves to see those guys working out before the game. She herself loves to work out. She got fitness equipment this last Christmas. So that girl is crazy. First period Saturday night, UNO trying to get that all-important first goal, and they did. 3:52 into the first, Zach Erdahl puts UNO up 1-0. He fired in an initial shot. Gavin tried to score on the rebound, and then Erdahl puts it in on the opposite side of the net. So just pure effort by Zach Erdahl. He gets that all-important first goal for UNO.
Yeah, great to see the success that he's had this season. Sometimes when you go into the transfer portal, as Nolan Sullivan said in the post-game presser, you're not quite sure what you're going to get, but we got a gem in Zach Erdahl. He has definitely made his presence known on the ice with his speed, with his quickness, and then, like you said, with that goal, with just sheer grit and determination. And I got to tell you, John, it could have been a very different start to that game. We noticed on the lineup sheet that Simon Licozzi was listed as the starting goaltender. And I know you and I had some questioning looks and talked with some other fans when Seth Isley came out of the tunnel first. He and Will Craig were both on the ice during warmups, and we were looking around for Simon and wondering what was going on. We later found out that he was ill. But boy, how resilient of the team to make an adjustment on such short notice.
You know, I always love that before a game. Like, you and other people are like, where's such and such? I don't see him down there in the skate around. And I'm just like, I'm looking at this like sea of jerseys rolling around there, shooting pucks at the net. And I'm like, what? What are we looking at? And there's one goalie in nets. There's another goalie by the blue line stretching. So, I mean, I pay attention to that, but I'm not as shocked as you guys are. I'm like, well, maybe he's in the locker room. But I will tell you, the times that we've gotten to see Seth Isley this season, he has performed really well. Certainly that series up at St. Cloud in the second half of the season, he performed great on Saturday night for UNO. So I got to tell you, big, tall goaltender. I'm always happy to see him when he appears in net this season. So yeah, this was a big game, a big stage for him to perform on, and I hear that he works very hard in practice. So it was great for him to get the opportunity against top competition like North Dakota. But late in that first period, 18-16 into the first, Matt Miller puts UNO up 2-0, assist to Griffin Ludke, a great position for UNO to be in at the end of that first period.
Yeah, and speaking of great positioning, Matt Miller camped out on the back door, was just ready to take advantage of that opportunity, and he popped it in the net, and the crowd erupted because, again, going up 2 goals on that, number 3 North Dakota team really helped energize that crowd into believing that anything was possible this Saturday night. And like you said, Seth Isley came up with some big saves, and none bigger than the ones that he was both getting at the end of that first period and that was still to come in the rest of the game.
Yeah, definitely stepped up during that game and in that first period. So 2-0 UNO after the first. And then we head into that second period, and 1:19 into that second period. Defenseman Kirby Proctor, he's been showing his offensive prowess this season, puts UNO up 3-0, assists to Erdahl and Miller. The defenseman fired it in from way out at the blue line, so great goal for him. But 2 minutes later, UND's Jaden Perron narrows the lead to 3-1 for UND.
Yeah, another dangerous 5-on-3 power play for North Dakota. Bremer had gone to the box for holding, and then Jesse Lansdell followed shortly thereafter. And so you can't give North Dakota two-man advantage too many times, or you're going to end up paying for it. And the Mavs did end up on the short side of that one. So 16:41 left in the second period, and all of a sudden it was that most dangerous lead in hockey, Omaha up 2 goals.
Yeah, Omaha up 3-1 after 2. I thought UNO played pretty disciplined hockey this weekend. I remember a couple seasons ago when UNO was one of the most penalized teams in college hockey. They were like the 1970s Oakland Raiders of college hockey. Yeah, so always good to try and stay out of the box against this NCHC competition that we play throughout the second half of the season, because you cannot give them a man advantage and hope to survive some of these games. So like you said, 2-goal lead for UNO up 3-1 going into the third period. Lots of fireworks in that third period. Things got chippy, Bridge.
Yeah, and my Twitter feed, I was looking back through it and preparing for today's Mavpuckcast, and it's littered with, save Seth and huge save. I mean, he was just turning them away left and right. We did get a lot of puck luck. North Dakota had some missed opportunities, just not connecting on passes or shooting wide of the net. So we definitely got some luck. And Omaha was winning the faceoff battle too at that point, which really helped. Puck possession, when you are trying to protect that lead, is a critical part of your game plan.
Yeah, and I thought the Mavs did a really good job holding that lead. You never know what's going to happen. A couple of errant passes, a couple of weird bounces, and suddenly North Dakota's back in the game. But UNO was able to hold them at bay with a little under 2 minutes left in the game. Nolan Sullivan gets the empty netter to seal the deal. The Mavs go on to win 4-1 for their first ever sweep of North Dakota. It was a great moment. Like, you and I, as older fans, we've gotten to see a number of great moments, especially back when we were in our 20s and those early years when Kemp and guys like Zanin and Hogan were playing. But this was a great opportunity for some of the younger fans to have one of those kind of seminal moments that they can point to and say, you remember when we got our first ever sweep of North Dakota?
Yeah, Susie Dunn was actually talking about that on Twitter. She said it's like this generation's Tuesday night. And we definitely saw in the Mavpuck group a lot of folks talking about how loud it was in Baxter Arena this weekend. And so for anybody who was there, it was an incredible moment. And I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a lot of people that claim to be there just because it is such a huge moment for Omaha hockey.
Yeah, the fans were loud. They were proud. Great student presence on Saturday night. You couldn't ask for anything more. The lobby celebration was electric. Whatever happens from here, this was just a great moment for the team. And as we've been saying all season, they work hard, they play hard, and they don't give up. And we've seen that tenacity pay dividends down the stretch. So, any final thoughts from you, Bridge, on this series, on UNO's first ever sweep against North Dakota?
Well, I think probably the only thing that comes to mind is I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get home ice. I mean, we were so close to that. I think we ended up 1 point short. And with the crowd behind the team, they were just really feeding off that energy. And I looked up and it said Omaha is, 11-5-3 at home this season. And you really could see that down the stretch as the team was feeding off of the crowd's energy. It's so much fun to see the players go down to the student section at the end and throw themselves at the glass. It was particularly sweet on Saturday night. You had so many of those seniors acknowledging the impact that the students and the crowd had. And I just want to give a shout out to Bill Pickett and the UNO administration on their efforts this season at really getting student attendance. We talked about how this is spring break for the students, and there were over 500 students in attendance on Friday night and over 400 students on Saturday night. I think it's a huge testament to what UNO's administration is doing and what Bill Pickett is doing to build that culture among the students. And I'm just so sad to see that stop now, because I can only imagine what home ice would have looked like at Baxter Arena next weekend.
Yeah, it would have been great. Turn a couple of those 3-on-3 overtime wins into regulation wins. We're having a very different conversation about UNO playing at Baxter Arena next week. UNO is a campus where most of the students work for a living. They have jobs in addition to going to school. This is kind of the townie school. This is the school where local kids go to, and it's a school of second chances. So it's nice to see when they get out and support the team. And that was just a great moment for those students to get to experience. And those are the kind of foundational things that can help make these students become UNO hockey fans for life. So a great series for UNO, and just very proud of the players, the coaching staff, etc., for a job well done. We've got to talk about our players of the week. Who did you like this weekend for UNO as your player of the week for this North Dakota series?
Well, there was a lot to like this weekend. I would certainly give a seventh man award to the crowd. But since I have to actually pick a player, like I said, lots of good candidates to choose from. Definitely scoring by committee kind of weekend. So no one player was like, oh, that's the obvious choice for me. So I got to go with sophomore defenseman Jacob Gavin. He has really had a stronger second half of the season. When he was a freshman, he had 4 goals and 14 assists and was actually named to the NCHC all-rookie team last year. But he's been a little bit quieter this season until kind of late. He's had 3 goals and 6 assists, including Friday's goal and Saturday's assist. And more importantly, he's been in all 34 games this year. So again, solid contributor all season long, but definitely appreciate his impact this weekend. How about you?
Yeah, I think Gavin's a great pick. As you mentioned, 1 goal and 1 assist this weekend, 3 goals and 6 assists this season. But both Gavin and LeMay, as of late, are coming on strong. And I tell you what, if those guys get going and those guys get heated up, this team is going to be hard to stop. So I like the pick of Gavin. We picked him a lot as player of the week on the podcast last season. So a good pick. But I've got to go with junior forward Zach Erdahl. We've talked about him a lot this season, in particular the second half of this season. He had 1 goal, 2 assists on the weekend. He had other opportunities to get goals as well. He has 10 goals and 10 assists on the season. So glad he was able to transfer here from Wisconsin. I do wish he'd come to UNO as a freshman. That would have been fantastic, but glad to have him playing for the Mavericks now.
Yeah, great choice with Erdahl, both for his offensive prowess as well as I noticed he had 3 block shots on the weekend. In a defensive battle with North Dakota, those kinds of selfless plays, blocking shots and giving up the body, as you would put it, really can help turn the momentum of a game. So between his actual production, the shots that he wasn't quite able to bury, and then his defensive work, I think that's a great choice, Jon.
Yep, he has been great, but as we mentioned, a number of great performances, and certainly the veterans were big. Jack Randall, Nolan Sullivan, Matt Miller, once again, big weekend. Just a real team performance for UNO down the stretch here to get things done. So just reiterate it. Congratulations to the players and the coaching staff on this. It's tough to get wins in this conference, and it's tough to get wins against North Dakota in any season. So big sweep for UNO. And as always, just excited and honored as a fan to get to be a part of it. But we've got to talk about some things you missed at Baxter Arena. We had senior night this weekend, always an emotional time for the players, I'm sure the parents, and for the fans, especially with some of these grad student players. Because of the COVID season, players got an extra year of eligibility so they could play 5 collegiate season. And so having had some of these guys like Sullivan for 5 seasons, you really become attached to these guys. Like a player that I become attached to is Kirby Proctor this season. I'm like, wow, it's just been amazing to have him back. And boy, he has taken advantage of that extra year playing collegiately. It's nice to have those mature veteran players on the team.
Yeah, we're certainly going to miss these guys. And like you said, such an emotional night. UNO recognized the senior class, which included Nolan Krenzen, Jimmy Glynn, Brock Bremer, Matt Miller. It was really cool to see hockey operations assistant Jake Harrison get out there on the ice. He had the black jersey on with 44 on the back of it. So cool to see him recognized. He's been a part of the program behind the scenes since not being able to complete his collegiate career due to injury. So that was really cool. And then I really liked how UNO recognized the graduate students, with video tributes. Kirby Proctor, Dom Vidoli, Nolan Sullivan, Jesse Lansdell, Jack Randall, and Seth Isley were all part of the senior night recognition. And when you look at them collectively as a group, Omaha Hockey had a graphic with all of their faces. You realize what an impact these guys have had, not just on the program, but on the culture of the program. And that was one thing that Coach Gabinet said that he was looking for when he was recruiting players, is he was really looking for guys who were of character, who would build a culture that this program could build on. And you look at that group of seniors and graduates graduate students, and you say, yep, you did it.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's so important. Having been around this program really since they announced season tickets back in the spring of 1996, and have had the opportunity to get to know a number of the players over the years. There have been certain periods where the culture of the team, the players have just been fantastic. They've been great about interacting with the fans. They seem like they love being here. They seem like they want to be here. And they've really become invested in the university, in the program, and in the city of Omaha. And that's been really cool to see. There have also been other periods with the program where the players haven't seemed quite as invested, and they haven't seemed to like the fans quite as well. And they're just kind of here to play hockey, and that's kind of it. So I always enjoy those phases of the program where everybody seems really invested in the program, in the community. I think it really makes a difference as far as on ice success to have that kind of buy-in and to have that kind of investment. And I just want to echo your sentiments on Jake Harrison. He didn't have the playing career that I know he was hoping for, but you and I, having gone to a number of road games this season, he's there with the team, wearing a suit, helping out with hockey operations, and it's great to see him involved as he is continuing his undergraduate studies at UNO.
Yeah, we wish him all the best as well. Again, he's made the most of his opportunities, and I always love seeing him toting that laptop up and down the stairs in his suit.
There was another honor on Saturday nights on the ice. Former UNO coach Kemp, who's currently the executive associate athletic director, was honored with a ceremonial puck drop before the game. We talked about how Coach Kemp announced that he is retiring this May. So I'm glad they took the time to honor him at one of the games before the season ended. I know they alluded to the fact that they'll be honoring him more in the coming months. I don't know what that means, but what did you think of that ceremonial puck drop, Bridge?
Well, I was tipped off before the game that the puck drop was likely to be emotional. So I put myself in a position to be able to record the whole thing. And I think you're going to show some of that after this. But Mike Kemp was accompanied by his wife, Julie, and their children, Emily and Sarah, who we remember when they were, Scotland's age. As well as their families. So really neat to see him honored on the ice. I can't imagine how else, they would send him off except letting him be on that center stage in front of all the fans at Baxter Arena. I hope he felt the love.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they do anything else for the coach to honor him in the future. We will just have to see. And one more thing you missed at Baxter Arena, if you weren't there, yes, Bridget is waving her white pom-pom, which they gave away those before the Saturday night game. It was a whiteout night. I was not sure how it was going to work because they didn't give away white t-shirts as they had done a few years ago. So they were depending on fans to come wearing white gear. And I'll tell you what, I think the fans answered the call really well. I know the students answered the call really well with some white gear. I know that they were giving away t-shirts to students for the student section so that they would have shirts to wear. But I thought the fans answered the call, Bridget. I thought it was a pretty decent whiteout going on there.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. Again, you just never know how those things are going to go, especially when you're not providing the gear for fans. But you and I both wore our white. You bucked your Roll Wagon Good Luck Charm jersey in favor of a white number 13 with the Don Leahy patch on it. So I was really glad that worked out because I'm sure we would have gotten some hate comments on YouTube if we had been the cause of that loss.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I wanted to participate in the whiteout, so I did not wear the lucky Roll Wagon jersey that I've been wearing. But you know what? The Mavs got the sweep anyway. So maybe it has nothing to do with the jersey. Maybe it has to do with how the team performs on the ice. Superstitious as we are, it might just have to do with how the guys play. So great series to cap the regular season and lots of fun stuff this weekend at Baxter Arena. So we're going to be excited to see what they have in store next fall for us when next season commences. But Before we start looking ahead to next season, we've got to talk about our upcoming NCHC playoff series out at Colorado College, another team that has outperformed expectations this season. Colorado College, with a lot of young players, has really done well. They also had a lot of success against North Dakota. The Tigers are 20, 11, and 3 overall, 14, 8, and 2 in conference play, and 11, 6, and 2 at their home venue, Ed Robson Arena. So this one's going to be a tall order for Bridge. This this one's going to be a
Bridge could
tall
be tall order for me.
this one's going to be a tall order for UNO going out there for the best of 3 series, Bridge.
Yeah, and we just faced Colorado College a couple weeks ago, so I guess that's a good thing and a bad thing. They're fresh on our minds, but also they remember, what it takes to play us as well. Since playing us, they tied and won against Duluth at Colorado Springs, and then they split that series with Denver this last weekend. And that was one of those interesting home and home games that we talked about. They were in Colorado Springs on national television on Friday night and got the win. And then they traveled to Denver on Saturday night and lost. Interestingly enough, Jon, both scores were 4-3 in favor of the winning team. So kind of interesting.
Colorado College is led by Chris Mayotte, young rising star head coach in college hockey. He is 42, 57, and 8 during his 3 seasons with CC. As I mentioned before, he was an assistant with Providence the season that UNO played Providence in the Frozen Four out in Boston. They went on to win the national championship that season. And he was also an assistant briefly for Mel Pearson at Michigan. So we know the guy can recruit. We know he can attract talented players. So he's getting things turned around there, Bridge. Players to watch, certainly. Sophomore forward Noah Laba leads Colorado College with 35 points, 19 goals, and 16 assists. He is a Rangers draft pick. And sophomore forward Gleb Veremyev, one of my favorite names in all of college hockey, who played with the Lincoln Stars in the USHL, by the way, is second on the team in points with 14 goals and 11 assists. And of course, you can't talk about Colorado College's success without talking about goaltender Caden Mbarico. Has a 2.38 goals against average and a .918 save percentage. They're definitely going to be hoping that he has a big weekend coming up here.
Yeah, one thing we learned after we played Colorado College is that Victor Mancini had played with him as a young player. They were hanging out together in the lobby after that Colorado College series here in Omaha. So that was kind of neat. I'm kind of hoping that maybe Victor will have some insight into how to crack Mbarico this weekend, because that is definitely one of the keys to the game. Another big key to the game, obviously, is going to be special teams. We've talked about this ad nauseum throughout the season, how important it is for the Mavs to stay out of the box. Particularly important with this series is Colorado College is really impressive in shutting down the power play for the other team. They're great on the penalty kill. They held Denver without a power play goal on Saturday, and it was the 6th straight game that the Tigers have not allowed a power play goal. It's going to be especially difficult for the Mavs to crack that penalty kill.
Sustained pressure in our offensive zone is going to be very important, especially against this team. We need to test Caden Mbarico because that's how you're going to break through against him, is to put up shots against him. No goaltender is completely invincible, knock on wood. So we'll just have to see what UNO has planned for Colorado College this upcoming series. And UNO rose in the pairwise rankings, as we alluded to earlier in the episode. They are now 12th after sweeping North Dakota. There's still a lot more work to do. They need to keep playing. They need to keep having opportunities to get wins and help control their destiny in that regard. And while they're at it, if they keep winning, they can control their own destiny completely by getting the auto bid in the NCHC Frozen Face-Off. Certainly a destination we've never been to before. So we'd love to see the guys make a run to St. Paul. But before we get to any future games, we've got to predict what's going to happen in this best of three playoff series. Lots of different combinations that could happen when you're talking about a best of three series. So I'm not even going to run them all down, Bridge. Who do you like in this first round NCHC playoff series between number 4 seed Colorado College and number 5 seed Omaha this upcoming weekend?
Boy, this is a tough one because again, we got the heart saying something and the head saying something else, and again, a trip to St. Paul on the line. I'm going to take a little bit of Jon's optimism. I'm going to say Omaha finds a way to get 2 wins against Colorado College, but I think it's going to take them 3 games. How about you?
I won't make you make any specific predictions there on like which night they're going to win. I won't make you do that. Although I am going to do that. I'm going to say UNO gets 2 wins this weekend. I'm going to say UNO wins on Friday and Saturday nights. You got to be bold this time of year, and you got to be bold for UNO. And I think if UNO is going to get it done, they need to go in there and get it done both nights, 2 nights in a row. Or if they don't win on Friday nights, I'm perfectly fine with UNO getting it done on Saturday and Sunday night. Here's the thing. However they get it done, I would love to see UNO get 2 wins and get to their first ever Frozen Face-Off up in St. Paul, because that's one of those weird monkeys on the back of this program, and I want to see the monkey jump off their back. I want to see UNO get it done. It will be fascinating to see what happens, and of course, we wish the boys all the best in that effort this upcoming weekend. Friday's game will be at 8 p.m. Omaha time. Saturday and Sunday, if necessary, will be at 7 p.m. Central, so 1 hour earlier. The games, of course, will be broadcast locally on the radio on 1290 Coil. Mike Valancourt and Terry Leahy will have the call. I'm going to have to go back and watch the recording of the UNO broadcast from this North Dakota series, because I'd love to hear what Mike and Terry have to say. I bet they got really excited during that series. If you are not in Omaha and you cannot tune in 1290 Coil, you can listen to the radio broadcast online on the Varsity Network app. And of course, if you want to watch the games, because that's really what you want to do, you can watch both games on NCHC TV. Should be an exciting series coming up. Boy, hard to believe we're at playoff time of the season already, Bridge.
Yep. Really looking forward to what the Mavs can do with this opportunity in the NCHC quarterfinals. Crossing my fingers that they get it done the way you and I both think that they will. And Omaha will get to make its first ever trip to St. Paul. So hoping for more hockey in the upcoming weeks, because there's plenty more fun to come.
Absolutely right. And if you want to experience that fun, be sure to follow us on our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. You can find links to all of our social media on mavpuck.com, as well as back episodes of this podcast, which we encourage you to watch and encourage you to listen to. But until next time, Bridge, go Mavs.
Go Mavs!